This is Peak Productivity, the podcast for Asana lovers and productivity nerds. Today with Bastien, we talk about the latest features that Asana has launched in the past weeks. And we will also tell you the best resources to learn more about Asana. Welcome to Peak Productivity. Okay, so we are on air. Good morning, Bastien. How are you?
Good morning. It's been a long time. I think the last
Yeah,
recording was last year.
yeah. Happy New Year to you, to
Happy
all
New Year.
our Peak Productivity fans. New year, a new blank slate. What are your plans for this year?
The team is actually growing. We have many people who joined the team. We have lots of clients to deploy worldwide. The Asana roadmap keeps evolving, new features being released. We have the new plans that were released as well. So we're going to be pretty busy and probably creating a lot of content this year. I have someone from my team who actually wants to look at Asana and AI way deeper than we usually do. So he's going to spend a lot of time talking to Asana PMs, talking to clients and creating content. So that's actually Arthur. And maybe you can have him on the podcast one day.
Yeah, what a time to be in this industry with all the technology revolution with AI. More companies now that trust in softwares like Asana that manage work. So pretty exciting. As we were saying before starting recording, it's great to be in this business, in this industry at this point of history. Talking about the year, I wanted to mention for those that are Asana users, probably you've seen in your Asana at the end of 2023, the year in review. It's something, I don't know if it was Spotify, the first that launched this type of year review with their wrap feature that you can share on social media, and that it's quite interesting to see what people listens. And Asana launched this year in review pop-up where you can see
Yep.
how the year was
Actually, I'm
there
gonna have
any
a look. I'm gonna have
surprise?
a look. I'm gonna have a look at mine again. I was surprised to see that my main collaborator was actually my assistant, Julie. So that was funny to see that. She was the one I probably talked to the most on tasks. What was funny in my case is that the number of tasks I have completed is exactly 10,000. Not
Whoa.
10,001 exactly. So that seems very surprising to me. So I don't know if it's a bug or if it's just like a completely random.
I think
Um,
that this might be the limit. Probably you passed beyond this number, and
yeah,
this it. It's like
I haven't thought of this probably. And I think all of those are interesting. The only problem is you can't really compare them with other people because we don't have the same tasks, the same size, the same duration.
exactly.
Um, For example, in my case, I sometimes create tasks for stuff I've done already, or I would break something down into very small tasks. So it's a bit hard to analyze, but it's fun anyway. I have supported almost 500 projects, 96 collaborators, and my assistant is my top collaborator. What about you?
Yeah, I was in the 2600 tasks. I can't remember the number of projects, but also the main collaborator is our top guy at customer support,
Mhm.
who is the one that I interact the most. Surprisingly, I didn't expect it was him, but then you think back and you say, okay, actually we have many tasks where we collaborate together and many comments, and so uh, i I mean it's funny to see these numbers because you realize how much work, but I think that it will be better comparing next year with the previous year, and to see the evolution, and if
Yeah.
the trend is upwards or downwards. I don't
Yeah,
know.
one of the problem I have is that we have many automation running automatically in the background, and some of them use my account. So my numbers are artificially blown up. I probably haven't created that much task myself, but some automation do. So that messes up with the number.
Yeah, probably in this telemetry part, Asana is still a bit behind other competitors, or if you want a lot of analytics, a lot of metrics to be tracked, or an advanced reporting, you need additional tools. You need to connect Asana to other tools like Power
Yeah.
BI, I don't know, Instagram in the past, for instance, or other tools like this. Do you use any external tool to track Asana analytics?
We do not. We do not yet. I think the biggest part of our Asana is the CRM, and we have lots of leads and clients in there, thousands of leads. And we try to keep everything in Asana just for the sake of trying to push the boundaries. And I've written some automation to try to consolidate this data and get some stats out of them. So we do everything in-house in Asana. We force ourselves to do so. But I know that some clients, they do rely on Power BI because they want like a stacked bar chart, for example, which doesn't exist in Asana, or they want something specific which doesn't exist. Yeah, Asana is getting better at dashboarding, but it will probably never be as good as some people expect it to be because some people really want very complex dashboards and charts.
Yeah. Talking about the CRM, I'm pretty sure that when you use Asana as a CRM, you use the board view. And something that was missing in the board view that now we finally have is the option to arrange the columns grouping by different fields, not only the custom sections, but you can now group by simple selection fields. I think
Finally,
that,
yeah.
yeah, this is it's a topic, but it's a game changer. Now board views, it's a whole new dimension, and this along with the fact that you can save new views, I think that it's well, it will save a lot of
Yeah,
time, I think.
I never use board view ever. I think that view is not that good. I think there are very, very few cases where that view is better than the other ones. I use list view for almost everything. And as you said, now that you can create saved views, you can create new tabs. I now have multiple list tabs for some project. I just never use the board view. But I know that the people who do, they will be happy to finally be able to base the columns on a custom field. This has been, people have been waiting for this for a very long time.
Yeah, I can share that in a couple of use cases, with one internally at Volcanic, and another one with one of our clients. We had this type of project where you need sections that are like stages of the project, but this same project has tasks that need to be managed using sprints with a
Yep.
Kanban. So
Yep.
in this use case, we needed two projects: one project with the stages and the other project with a Kanban with
Mhm.
all the backlog to do in progress. Now it's not necessary. Now we can do it with one single project,
Oh,
and you
yeah,
have the
indeed.
board view that
Yep.
groups by stage or Kanban stage, and the list view that has the custom section. So, well, this is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Also,
we
there
can
are,
maybe we can talk a bit about what I don't like about the board view. If that's
sure.
okay with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Of course.
one of the problem is that every time you have an attachment, the preview will show up, and very often you just do not want a preview, so you have to manually remove the preview. The other problem is related to the custom fields. You do not see the label, you do not see the name of the field, only the value. So depending on how you build your field, you might have a card that says France 12 1,000 euros, which it's like it's useless. You can't do anything with this. And the other problem is you do not see that many tasks on the screen. You only see a handful of those. That makes it a bit hard to have like an overview of the entire project. So those are the reasons why I think that view is not very useful. But I know some people, especially the ones coming from Trello, they do everything with board view. that drives me nuts. Because in my opinion, that should be the other way around. You should do most of the things in list view, and sometimes when it does make sense, use the actual board view.
Yeah. Talking about Trello, sorry, Trello friends, when we discuss with potential clients that say, and what about Trello? The answer is always, well, Trello is like one feature of Asana, that it's the board
Yeah.
view, but Asana has plenty of additional
But
views that
doesn't
are.
doesn't Trello have new views now? I think they have lists now and they have other things.
Yeah, and it has these power apps where you can add additional features to Trello.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the basics is that board view. I totally agree that it's the board view, since it has this hidden information, might not be useful for some use cases, but for some others. For instance, I remember a client that was in premium, now starter, that used a project as a portfolio. Let's say it this way, and they use the board view to see in which stage each project was, and they zoom out the browser in order to
Oh,
see a lot of tasks. So they had like this big screen in the office, and they could see in this board view where each project was in each in which stage the project was at every moment. Well, but yeah, I agree that, and also the fact that you can only see if a task is in multiple projects, you have to mouse over the
yeah.
color label. Yeah. Let's talk about rules. Now rules have additional triggers. Now you can trigger a rule when a date field changes. Actually, I don't have in mind any use case for this. I don't know if you um, find it
Yeah, I
useful.
do. I actually do, and I was actually confused by this a couple of weeks ago because I thought that the due date is approaching trigger was you could actually use this trigger if the date was changed, but it actually doesn't work that way. It only triggers at midnight if
Correct.
the due date is the right one. Um, yeah, I do have a use case. For example, when managers ask us, um, "Can I be notified if a date is changed?" Then you can now
Oh,
do that now. You could multi-home that task in a private project that says, look at those tasks where the date was changed. You could also post a comment saying you were not allowed to change the date. Please roll back to the previous date. Um, so yeah, that's
hmm.
interesting. I think the more triggers, the more actions we have, the better, because you're always going to find someone that has that very specific use case where that specific trigger was useful. Um, I'm hoping Asana adds way more triggers and just doesn't wait to think of a way to use them because we always find ways to use them anyway.
Yeah. Can you explain in Asana rules, you have these internal triggers, but then you can have external actions, and in the external actions, you have I do
I do things.
options.
Yep.
Yeah. What can you do with these actions?
Yeah, so basically, natively in Asana, you have the native triggers, the native actions. You also have the incoming web requests, and you also have the external actions. The I don't know if you played with the incoming web request. So basically, it's a way for any system to trigger a rule to run in Asana. So that basically gives you an address, and you can use this address from anywhere to trigger something to run. You also have external triggers. I think you have things around Dropbox and Slack and stuff like this that you can use. When looking at the action, so you have the action tab with all the native actions, and you have the external actions which have been created by people like Slack, Google, Dropbox, as well as external developers like us. And we created two set of actions. The first one we created was the outgoing web request. So if you want your action to actually call something else, trigger a zap somewhere, do something that is outside of Asana, you can use our action to do so. And we also created a set of actions called I do things, allowing you to do stuff that are not available. For example, turn a task into an approval, turn a task into a milestone, change the due date to next Monday, change the due date to next month. Those are very specific things that Asana doesn't have natively. And we were able to create those with custom code that is actually embedded into Asana. So you don't have to write anything. You just have to click and use our custom-made actions.
Cool. Does it have any cost?
No, it's actually completely free. The only thing is you have to expect an email from me at one point to say hi and to promote our services. But for now, everything is entirely free. Yeah, the goal is just to show everybody what's possible with Asana. And if you need a specific action just for you, we might be able to create it. So it's a way to showcase our expertise somehow.
What would be the advantages of using this kind of external actions compared to using Zapier, for instance?
First, if it's free,
Besides the cost,
yeah,
yeah.
besides the cost, I think very often the workflow you create involves several actions, but one of them isn't available in Asana. So either you do everything in Zapier or you do part in Asana, part in Zapier, and that makes it super hard to manage. Also, Zapier doesn't have all the triggers Asana has. There's no, I think there's a bit of an overlap between the triggers and actions, but they do have their specificities, each one of them. So the more you can do in Asana, the better, because things, I think, run more smoothly. They don't really break. They are easier to create. And also you can collaborate with your team. It's a bit harder to collaborate on a Zap with the rest of your team. Obviously, besides the cost, that is also something you have to have in mind.
Cool. Another new feature, we had this new view called Gantt view that was launched end of summer, give or take.
Yeah.
And it lacked some filters. Now we can multi-filter content in the Gantt view. That I think that it's good because the Gantt view is, I actually find it quite useful because it combines the list and the timeline, and it has some interesting additional features, like you can compare your project, how it
With the
looks like
baseline, yeah.
now with the baseline. That it's a
That's pretty
request
cool.
that especially engineering teams and big corporations requested a lot. And now you can do this multi-filter. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think people are not used to seeing features being released without everything, every single feature available. What I mean is, this is really the way Asana operates. When they release the Gantt view, it might not have filters, it might not have sort options. It's just like the bare minimum of the feature, and then they do what they call fast follow, and they add new stuff to that feature. And I know that's confusing for some people because they expect to have the whole deal right away. And what I usually explain is, would you rather have everything in 6 months, or would you rather have the bare minimum now and then additional stuff coming later? This is the way Asana operates. It allows them to release things faster and get some feedback. I personally like this approach. I think it allows us to have something quicker, even though it doesn't have everything. It forces us to really study one feature before actually using it, because we know now that every time something's released, it's going to be missing some stuff, and we have to make sure that it covers the use case that we have to deal with. So yeah, multiple filters is a good step in the right direction. I guess it had to be done, and they have to align all the different views so that they have the same features.
Talking about filters, in my wish list, maybe I am wrong and this is something that can be done, but I think that it's not possible yet. That when you filter by date to filter by custom start and end dates, you can filter like this week, next week, in 2 weeks, next month, but it's not possible to say, okay,
Oh yeah,
let me.
yeah.
I mean within a project, not the global
Yeah.
search, but in a project, the date filter is too basic,
Yeah, I
in
think
my opinion.
I don't know if that's the official name, but those filters at the project level, I call them quick filters. And I think you can't expect quick filters to have everything available. They are quick filters after all. But I think they're becoming way more complex with way more options. And Asana is really investigating and is really investing on those, especially since you have the saved views. So this ability to create different tabs, that's when you really want to have some powerful filters. And yeah, I know that some people were lacking the ability to choose the right date and choose something else than this week. The problem is, I think in most cases, you don't want static dates. You really want dynamic timeframes. I'm guessing that's the reason why they built this first, and maybe later they will add custom dates.
Yeah, yeah, but it's still, I think it's pretty simple. I mean, compared with other tools that they let you say, okay,
Yeah.
last month, last quarter, last year, this month, last 30 days, I don't know, Google Ads, for instance, or I don't know, other CRMs. And I think it's pretty basic. Do you use Gmail for managing your email,
I
or
do
you
use
use?
Gmail. No, I do use Gmail to manage the emails. I never use the Gmail add-on though. I think for two reasons. I think it's a bit too slow. Whenever you try to do something, it takes a few seconds. That drives me nuts. And also, I always have my Gmail on one side of the screen, my Asana on the other side. So I always do stuff in Asana directly. That's the reason why I'm not using the add-on. Also, I do not want to send an entire email into Asana. I think an email is mostly noise, and within that noise, you have one sentence that is important or a few words. So I usually just keep those and put those into Asana and not everything else. That's why I'm not always keen on connecting those two. Otherwise, all the noise from emails goes into Asana. But I know that you want to talk about the new Gmail sync feature, right?
You got me there. Yeah, yeah. Actually, we use Gmail. I totally agree that it's too slow when you want to use it to create one task. But we use it also to manage customer support. And it was a problem because usually you used to open a task with the first message, and if the conversation kept going on, you had to manually
Yep.
copy this valuable information. I totally agree that there's a lot of noise, but the signal you can copy. But now with the update of the Gmail add-on, it synchronizes. It's something that it's an option. You can enable or disable this option, but it syncs the whole conversation. So if you open a ticket with a task in Asana and you attach the first message, then all the conversation will be attached automatically to that single task, so it doesn't open new task. And for this ticketing or customer support or request use cases, I find it really useful. I think that it's very good step forward.
But you still have to go into Gmail to send the actual email. And I think the loop will be complete once you can send emails directly from Asana. You can already do that through rules. There's an action to send Gmail emails, but it's pretty basic, doesn't have variables. And hopefully one day you can post a comment and it's going to send an email.
I agree. This will be like the ultimate step to have a perfect Gmail sync. But this new feature where you have all the emails attached, combined with AI, Asana Intelligence, summarize task, it's wonderful because you have like uh, a ticket or a task with 20 emails, you summarize, and you get one paragraph where you have
Also,
the
this yeah,
summary.
the summary does include the emails you receive.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. And
Cool.
this is, well, I find it, yeah, fantastic. It saves a lot of time that you have to navigate to through all the comments, all the attachments, and it saves a lot of time. So yeah, I like it. I like it. I think it's a good step forward. Any other new features that I am missing? It's been quite a lot.
Yeah, actually, I think this is being released at the moment. The ability to multi-select more than 50 tasks.
Wow,
They're changing the threshold to 500 tasks.
really? This is
Yeah, it's amazing. Let me check. It's being released at the moment, increasing the bulk action limit to 500 tasks. And it's coming actually today, January 18th.
good, good,
Yeah, that's going to be
good.
pretty good. That
Yeah,
50 that
especially
50 threshold was pretty annoying.
yeah. Well, yeah. When you have to migrate or move a lot of information, it was like,
Yeah.
whoa. Cool. We are in the final part of our episode today. I wanted to share with our viewers some sources to learn more about Asana. Let's see if we agree on these sources. One of them definitely is the Asana forum, where it has recently hit the milestone of 500,000 users,
Yeah.
and we are lucky to have the top contributor in this podcast. So uh, yeah, I'm sure that the Asana forum it's probably the greatest source of information.
Yeah,
Not
you can
non-official
definitely.
information, probably.
Yeah, you can get answers to specific questions, and you can also learn from tips and tricks, especially from forum leaders that we are. So yeah, it's a good place to go every time you're looking for something. I think the guide is also a good thing for the official documentation. I don't think the guide gives you a lot of tips and best practices. It's more about where to click and how to do something. So forum combined with the guide is a pretty good duo.
There are also some groups on LinkedIn. Which ones do you recommend?
Yeah, actually, we created two different groups. We have one called the Asana Product Community and another one called the Unofficial Secret Lab. On the product group, I share all the new features as soon as they are released, and also sharing some tips and tricks. And the Unofficial Secret Lab, this is where I share the A/B tests that are running. Um, we are allowed to share them because some people actually see those A/B tests in their account. So we are able to share them in the group, so you can see what's happening and what Asana is actually testing. We also use that group to share new interesting stuff we work on, new innovation and new ideas.
Cool. And if you want to jump from behind the screen and meet real people and shake real hands and have real beers, any events that you recommend, or any uh, website where you can see the list of events that
Yeah, I think
as
asana.com/events might be something that exists. They do have the list there. They basically go around the world all year long with different events, workshops, and trainings. If you are also part of the ambassadors community, you have access to the ambassador Slack, and there's an event channel there. So yeah, if you're looking at the website, you're going to see a couple of events around the world. A lot of them are in the US, I think. For example, in France, we have, I think, events once a year, something like this. So depending on where you are, you might have Asana coming um, often or not.
cool. You mentioned the ambassador program. That was my last recommendation. If you enjoy working with Asana, if you love learning more about Asana, or even if you want to launch your career as an Asana specialist or Asana consultant, I think that becoming an ambassador might be a good first step. You can even add an ambassador badge once you pass through all the process in your Asana profile, which is it feeds your ego, and yeah, I think that it's a good source for potential consultants.
Yeah,
Would
and
you
it
agree
gives
on that?
you Yeah, it gives you access also to the, I think it's a monthly webinar where we get a sneak peek on the roadmap and the things that are coming, and also gives you access to the Slack community. And I think the Slack community is almost as active as the forum, and we have tons of questions there as well, where we also answer. So yeah, joining the ambassador program is definitely a good thing. I don't think you're going to learn a lot about Asana itself, even though it has some content, but it's mostly about being among other ambassadors.
Excellent. So we reached half an hour milestone. I think that would be all for today. Let's continue this week. As always, a big pleasure, Bastien. Thank you very
Same.
much for your time, and see you next week.
Yep. See you next week.
Thank you.